Alexandra, thanks for coming to BizTalk. How are you today?
Hi, Max. Very well. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure, and thanks for coming. So let's start before talking about your startup. Let's give an introduction who you are, your background.
Sure. I'm Alex. I'm the founder of TravelSisters, and I was basically born with a travel bug because I was born in Germany, raised there, but my mom is from Chile, but we have family in Brazil. But I studied in London, San Francisco, Shanghai, Boston. So it's been a whirlwind. And I guess that's what led me to also starting Travel Sisters in the first place, because I was traveling in Australia and I couldn't find anyone to join me on my trip, on a road trip, apart from one guy who messaged and replied to my post saying, "Oh, I'd love to join you on the ride," which was just very suspicious with like no profile picture or anything. So I said, "No, thank you. I'll just go by myself." And that's where the idea sort of started for Travel Sisters.
Thank you. Let's start talking about our system.
Yes, sure. Let's talk about Travel Sisters. We're a female-only travel app because our goal is to make female travel safer by connecting like-minded women to each other. We looked at hundreds, if not thousands, of comments and conversations and saw that the top three struggles are safety, companionship, and money. So why not combine that? Because safety in a lot of cases can be solved by companionship. I think the worst sort of comment on this one would be, watch your drinks. I've been drugged twice and the second time raped by a drink. And that just shouldn't happen. So the problem is that it's really difficult to find trustworthy companions. And especially for women, it's even more difficult. And it doesn't matter whether you're an inexperienced young traveler going out with your friends in Cambodia, you might get killed, or you can be a very experienced woman traveling in Europe and you might still, get lost. And why now is always the question, because even if we have COVID and pandemic going on, travel is pretty much back to normal almost. And if you look at the airports or the chaos, people are really craving to get back to travel. So our solution to this is a female-only travel app, which is invite-only, verification only, and female-only to keep it safer. How it works is you create a profile, you get verified, only then you can use the app, and then you can choose by interest, language, travel style, age, various things to find a like-minded travel buddy, and then you can share the trip, the costs together. We make money by taking memberships. In the future, we would like to add commission as well and potentially trips as well down the line, but our main focus is memberships. With the data that we're saying down the line, it's because we can make travel trend predictions, which can be very helpful for lots of companies. So in the future, we plan on integrating that as well. There is, of course, competition. On Facebook, anyone can create a private travel group or join a private travel group, female only, but is it safe? Are they verified? I mean, anyone could just create any account really. And most of them are also not focused on the community themselves, but other things. And not many are female only either. Our traction so far, I'm very proud to say, has been 100% organic. So we have over 2,000 subscribers, of which over half have gotten verified as well. And we are also already selling pre-orders because we do have a working prototype, which is free to use. And we are currently focused on building the app, which then will be on a membership fee basis. So the girls are currently pre-ordering for that. Talk about the market size. I mean, there is 2.3 billion international tourist arrivals each year, and 11% of those are solo travelers. And according to some research like World Tourism Organization or Forbes, 84% of solo travelers are in fact female. So that gives us 212 million female solo travelers each year. And their spending power equates to about 8 billion that we could tap. Our roadmap is as follows. Right now, we're focused and we'll start with trip matching, meaning the girls can create trips saying, I'm going to Paris next weekend, who wants to join me or who's around? And further down the line, when we have grown and more members, then we will focus more on the direct member matching. And we are also going to create premium tiered memberships. So there is variety for everyone, those who maybe travel once a year, or maybe those who are digital nomads. And we are currently also raising around our pre-seed. The go-to-market strategy is inbound marketing. It has been great, working really great so far without putting any money behind it. And so we can't wait to get the funding and accelerate the growth. Our milestones so far have been great. We incorporated about 2 years ago. We have the trademark on TravelSisters name. We are an official travel contributor for the Evening Standard as well. We've been through the Innovate UK Accelerator, and we are also part of Meta's Business Leaders Network. And we are now raising funding, as mentioned. Meet the team. I am the founder. I've been working on this for a long time, part-time. Since last year, it's been full-time. And I take care of the business side. And then we have Greg, who is my tech co-founder and currently building the backend. And also a few advisors, as you can see, with lots of experience in their own fields. We also have already established partnerships because the goal is that the membership basically pays for itself. Yes, the girls have to pay a membership, but by using our partners, they can, for example, get 20% discount on hotel rooms. So we are looking at the moment for 500,000 for a 2 million pre-money valuation. We do have already SEIS advance assurance, and this is the forecast for the next 5 years, which I'm happy to share the very in-depth spreadsheet that is behind this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alexandra. Let's start with, I think the most concerning is why you did this, security. How do you address? You address already because you can share, you can go traveling only with females. So we take away the male as can be a potential threat. But on the other hand, what other tools are you addressing, making sure, for example, that all profiles are ready to be verified and behind a female face, there is not a man, or there is a threat. A man is not a threat by itself, of course. So even a female can be a threat. So how do you address this? How do you verify all the accounts?
It is definitely the most tricky part of this startup to get that right, or as right as you can get it. And the verification at the moment are in fact one-to-one video calls. So there is no way of hiding behind just, a fake profile or a fake picture just being uploaded. And we we plan on doing that in the future as well. How exactly that will look like, it might be as well members verifying each other. So you only get verified once 3 other members have vouched for you, for example. And that's also one of the reasons why we made it invitation only, because that way, each member having only a limited amount of unique invitation codes to begin with, they will hopefully just invite their friends because they want to keep the space as safe as possible. And what that invitation only also allows us to do is be very transparent and adding a layer of accountability to it, because everyone can see how everyone is connected. So let's say you join and everyone you invite for some reason gets reported. That will raise a question mark on our end. It could be that your account got hacked, or maybe we will have to look into you personally because you are, the weak spot in the system. So we want to put in place as many things as possible, and we're happy to, explore new ideas on how security could look like in the future with identity verification.
I think it's pretty complicated. Identify and make sure that everyone is real, especially now that we are going to metaverse where pretty much everyone probably be using avatars. And And yet you need to address also in any way data protection. It's pretty complicated when it comes to verification today. It's a trade-off, and many times the trade-off works for data and not for security. But what about, for example, having some kind of knowing, for example, that I am, as a female, coming to a platform and I have other connection, actually can verify myself, for example, if they are on your platform. So I am the friend of this, and this, and it already gives some kind of verification.
Exactly. They would have invited you in the first place, hence the invitation only. So by having an invitation code, a unique invitation code from your friend, that is already the first barrier of getting verified, of being connected to that person. That doesn't mean that you're automatically in the community just because you were invited. You still have to get verified through our systems. We will introduce ID checks as well, government IDs. So that's definitely on the table as well.
So let's start talking about something more exciting. What about your persona in terms of customer? Who are them?
Our personas, happy to speak about that as well. I've got here are a few user testimonials, actually, real people. So in this case, you can see it's much more around 20 to 30-year-olds. But generally speaking, we basically are looking at these customer personas. On the one end of the spectrum, we have the 18-year-olds just finishing school, not yet starting university, looking for that gap year to explore. So especially their parents want, obviously, their children to be safe when traveling solo, probably for the first time, or not wanting to travel solo because it's their first time just traveling without their parents. On the other end of the spectrum, we have the 70-year-olds who might be widowed, or maybe all their friends, are busy with the grandkids and things like that, but want that companionship and not having dinner by themselves every evening when they're out traveling. So our youngest member at the moment is 18 years old, and our oldest is 73. So there is a broad spectrum in between that. So right in the middle, we have the 35-year-old working mom or not mom, because all her friends are busy with the kids, or the work schedules just don't line up. So they end up going solo.
You've been already covering your pitch, the market. That's the only female market, although I think 51, maybe 55% of worldwide persons are female. So the market is pretty much huge, and you cover from 18 to 70s, which is all the lifetime of any human being almost. So the market should be massive. How do you address the market? I mean,
it's
for now,
solo female travelers. So out of all travelers, 11% are solo travelers.
That's correct. On the other hand, I do believe if I'm safe enough, and you can also make the 10 becoming 20. I mean, I go solo, and if I can find someone else and I can be safe, why not? You know what I mean? It's complicated to organize a travel with your friends. It's very complicated. Everyone has a different time. Everyone has a different place, who they like. So if I can go solo, I can find someone else who enjoy my time, at the same time be safe, why not? So you can increase this 10, maybe even 15, even 20, if you have enough power on your hands. How do you address the market in terms of penetration?
So as I was saying earlier, I'll just go back to the slide of the go-to-market strategy. It's marketing. So at the moment, number one, where they're coming from is blogs, recommendations from other websites that have listed us as saying, top apps to find travel buddies. And we're on those lists. So they find us through that, simple Google searches. On the other hand, it's a lot of social media in terms of Instagram focus specifically. That's where most of them come from as well. And ideally, it would grow from word of mouth, really literally friends inviting friends, because again, for us, the quality and safety of the community is number one priority.
I'm curious, I suppose you have some kind of algorithm inside the platform, okay, working and probably giving some advice. How if I want to travel tomorrow, okay, and I have my way to travel, I have my destinations, and or maybe I don't know even where to go. And if I come to your application, your platform, can you advise me? Can you match me with someone else that is safe and maybe has some mindset like me? So I'm not going to fight with them as soon as I arrive.
Yes, absolutely. That's exactly what the filtering is for, because you can set your preferences. So if you, for example, want to go partying every night, then you can set that, and you can also see on someone else's profile they don't want to party at all, so it's not going to be a good match. So that's why we make the profiles as in-depth as possible, and that's also why we show the at least public trips that they created, because we believe that nothing tells you more about a person than to see how they travel. So you can see maybe the trips they want to do and get an idea of, okay, that could work. And then of course you can still reach out to them anytime and say, hey, let's grab a coffee or a Zoom call if it's around the world.
Thank you. Regarding the business model, you say it's a membership-based business model. And what's going to be next? I suppose you, in your mind, you said already, you have other revenue streams maybe to be adopted years to come.
Absolutely. As you can see, year one, membership focus solely, because that's just needs to grow the community. But down the line, we very much, even with a prototype, we very much grow depending on our user feedback. For example, at the beginning, we only had the matching people, as you saw earlier, with languages, interests, and these things. But so many of our members were saying, oh, but can we plan a trip? Like, can I find others based on a trip? So we added it because of their feedback. So we've been adding a trips feature. And the other thing that has been very highly requested now after these things is, do you have TravelSisters trips that I can join? Like, you know, trips just organized by you, where there's other TravelSisters on there. So that's something that we would love to explore in the future as well. Again, because customers have been asking for it.
But in this case, because today you are very much focused on customers and the users, which means females, traveling from 18 to 17, maybe even 80. But what about the service providers, which means hotels, I don't know, travel brokers, agency? Can you one day work with them? Bring them on the platform,
that's
organize
the commission bit here that you can see. So we have already partnered with a few different travel related brands. And what that means is that on the one hand, they give our members a discount. And on the other hand, they give us commission as well. So it's a win-win situation for everyone, really. And we definitely plan on partnering with hotel chains and maybe the most requested restaurants in the area, the highly rated ones, to really have these safe spaces for women wherever they go.
I mean, you are UK based, so I presume some leverage is done in UK, but you are digital, so you are online. When defining the market online is pretty much global itself as a definition. But how do you scale your business? Because scaling, the first year, it's a pretty, as I said to everyone, it's a pretty easy year. Why? You don't have employees, so you can carry on yourself and so far. But you go to the second and the third, which is the most creating 80% of startup collapse to the third, because you have expenditures, you have ongoing costs. How do you scale your business in terms of operations, in terms of market size and penetration?
We are fully remote. I mean, yes, I am London based, but my tech co-founder is based in Budapest. Our UX designer is in Kiev. So in terms of growing as a business and, you know, just people helping us, we're open to anywhere in the world. Actually, our front-end developer is based in Sri Lanka. So it's quite an interesting one and will definitely help us and make our life easier to find the right talent for us. And on the other hand, in terms of scaling the community, we definitely want to work with brand ambassadors to really carry out that message out there, because our brand is so trust and people focused. We want to also grow that way using influencers, brand ambassadors, and heavily rely on marketing. And also events, which we have done very successfully in the past when we didn't even have a prototype or anything. We did barbecue meetups, going out for a pub or going for afternoon teas, like anything that really builds that trust of the community and getting those travel sisters together in real life.
I think you say 2,000 probably members today, or users. Where are they coming from? Where are they coming from, the majority of them?
Through Google searches, because when I verify them one-on-one video calls, my first question is, how did you find us? Why were you looking for Travel Sisters? And I would say 80% of them say, oh, I was Googling for, how to find travel buddies or safe travel buddies to travel with. And as mentioned earlier, we are listed in blogs recommending us and saying, this is a good place to find travel buddies. So it's really organic search and marketing at the moment.
In terms of geography, where are they coming from, the majority of them? Do you have a geolocation?
50% of them are from the US, about 30-40% are UK, and the rest is all over. I've had conversations with South Africa, New Zealand, France, pretty much anywhere, really.
So are you going to plan to have an ambassador for each? I think the best way for you to go is have ambassadors locally.
Yes.
An influencer in South America is different than an influencer in the US, for sure.
Exactly, yes. We want to be as approachable as possible, because that's, again, what the brand is about in the end of the day.
Let's talk about your funding. You're raising $500,000 in a pre-seed, EIS approved, which is very much good for any tax investors paying tax in UK. And how are you going to use this money, and how long you think you can have as a runaway with this funding? As you know, fund is very important. It's very important how long you can last, especially now, because now economy is going a bit down, and we stay down for a year, probably even two. So you need to predict having enough cash in your account to overcome any.
Yes, absolutely. So $500,000 is the goal. That includes a crowdfunding campaign that we want to launch, because our members are literally asking us, can I invest? But they're not professional investors, so their ticket sizes will be much smaller. And therefore, we want to work with either Crowdcube, Seeders, one of the crowdfunding platforms. And we already have $100,000 pledged from a private equity individual in the US. So that's perfect, because they don't take up any of the SEIS that we've already gotten approval for. And on this slide, you can see where that money would be invested in. It is meant for a 1.5-year runway, so that should cover it quite nicely. And most of it will be going into development and marketing. That's just the main focus. As we were saying earlier, we need a fully working and fully reliable and safe tech app. And on the other hand, of course, to get the word out and really grow the community, we will need lots of marketing. So that's really our main expenses.
I mean, you are an entrepreneur, you have vision. Where is your vision? Where do you want to go? Where do you see your startup in 5 years' time?
So the really, really big vision for me is to give back where tourism has actually had a negative impact. Because whenever we talk about tourism, we always talk about, oh, so many countries live of it, it's really beneficial and it's so good. You learn new things, you find yourself. But let's talk about the negative sides as well. It has such a bad impact in a lot of countries in a lot of different ways. I was very fortunate to be able to explore the Great Barrier Reef in Australia, go snorkeling and do all that thing. But if I have grandchildren or great grandchildren, are they still going to see that? I'm not sure. So the idea would be to link our profit, part of our profit, to local causes. That could be a cleanup project for the ocean in Australia, or it could be an elephant sanctuary in Thailand, because tourists really should stop riding elephants. It's just not good. So it really depends on the country, and that is really the really big picture behind it, on how can we help where it's really, really needed.
Thank you. I mean, I do believe any company should have a very clear strategy when it comes to ESG, climate, and any kind of having a very positive and not negative impact. That's the problem.
Absolutely.
Let me close with, do you have any message for investors why they should invest in Alexandra and your company?
Because we're going to do it with or without you, so you might as well get on board and now, because travel is just booming and it's just only going to grow. And I'd be happy to have a chat with anyone who would like to get involved, either now or maybe in the future. I'm open to have a chat.
Alexandra, thank you so much for coming to BizTalk. It's been a very great pleasure for me. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Bye.
Bye.